There is a particular kind of pain that leaves no visible mark, no bruise, no scar, no evidence you can hold in your hands. It lives inside the mind, quiet and corrosive, slowly dissolving the one thing you have always relied on most, your own perception of reality. Most people, when they hear the word gaslighting, picture a simple scene. Someone flatly denying something that clearly happened, a dismissive wave of the hand, a cold, "you're imagining things." And yes, that is gaslighting. But what if that is only the surface? What if beneath that familiar image lies an entire architecture of psychological manipulation, so precise, so calculated, and so invisible, that even the sharpest minds can walk straight into it without ever sensing the trap closing around them? This is not a conversation about obvious abuse. This is a conversation about the kind of manipulation that masquerades as love, as logic, as concern. The kind that makes you question your memory, distrust your emotions, and slowly, painfully, begin to believe that the problem has always been you. Think about the last time you felt confused in a relationship. Not just disagreed with, but genuinely disoriented, as if the ground beneath your understanding had quietly shifted while you were not looking. That feeling of mental fog, that strange sensation of doubting something you were absolutely certain about just moments before. That is not weakness, and it is not coincidence. That is the fingerprint of advanced psychological manipulation. The human mind is not designed to defend against someone it trusts. We are wired for connection, for belief, for the comforting assumption that the people closest to us are operating in good faith. And skilled manipulators know this. They study it. They rely on it. They build entire strategies around the beautiful, devastating vulnerability of human trust. What you are about to learn in this video goes beyond anything you may have encountered before on this subject. Clinical psychology has documented patterns of manipulation so sophisticated that therapists themselves sometimes miss them in early sessions with clients. These are not tactics born from impulse or anger. They are methodical, they are patient, and they are designed with one singular goal: to make you the author of your own confusion. So before you watch another minute of your life pass by wondering why certain relationships leave you feeling smaller, more uncertain, and less like yourself than you ever thought possible, ask yourself one honest question. What if the doubt you feel is not your instinct failing you, but your instinct trying to save you? To understand how advanced gaslighting truly operates, you have to first understand something fundamental about the human brain. It does not record memories like a camera. It reconstructs them every single time, like an artist repainting a picture from fading sketches. And a skilled manipulator does not just deny your reality. They quietly, persistently repaint those sketches for you, stroke by stroke, until the version of events living inside your mind belongs entirely to them. This is what psychologists call memory reframing, and it is one of the most chilling tools in the advanced gaslighter's arsenal. It does not happen overnight. It begins with small corrections. That is not how that conversation went. You always misremember things when you are emotional. I was trying to help you, and somehow you turned it into an attack. Each statement on its own sounds almost reasonable, but repeated over weeks, over months, over years, those small corrections become the foundation of a completely alternate reality, one where your memories are perpetually unreliable, your emotions are always the problem, and the manipulator is always, without exception, the most rational person in the room. But memory distortion is only the beginning. There is a psychological pattern documented in clinical research known as DARVO: deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. When confronted about their behavior, the manipulator does not simply deny, they attack. They make the act of confrontation itself the crime. Suddenly, you are not someone raising a valid concern. You are an aggressor, an unstable person, someone who cannot be reasoned with. And the truly devastating part is this: it works. Because when you are already questioning your own memory, being accused of causing harm to the very person who harmed you creates a psychological paralysis so complete that many people simply stop speaking up altogether. They learn, through repetition and pain, that silence is safer than truth. And then comes the third layer, the one that makes escape feel almost impossible. Gaslighters rarely operate alone. Over time, They build what psychologists describe as a web of third-party validators, friends, family members, even colleagues who have been carefully and subtly fed a particular version of you. Not through obvious lies, but through well-placed doubts, sympathetic sighs, and quiet suggestions. I am worried about them, honestly. They have been so sensitive lately. By the time you reach out for support, the people you trusted most already hold a distorted image of who you are. You are not just fighting one person's version of reality anymore. You are fighting a carefully constructed social narrative, and you were never given the chance to tell your own side of the story. Awareness is not just knowledge, it is armor. And the moment you begin to name what is being done to you, the manipulation loses a significant portion of its power. The final and perhaps most insidious layer of advanced gaslighting is what clinical psychologists refer to as cognitive distortion installation, the slow, deliberate process of embedding false beliefs so deeply into your thinking that they begin to feel like your own voice. You start to hear thoughts like, "I am too sensitive. I always overreact. Nobody else would put up with me." And you believe, completely and sincerely, that these conclusions came from your own honest self-reflection. They did not. They were placed there, carefully and intentionally, by someone who understood that the most effective cage is one the prisoner builds around themselves. So how do you defend against something this subtle, this patient, and this deeply personal? The first step is radical documentation. When something happens that disturbs you, write it down immediately. The words used, the tone, the context, the way it made you feel. Memory is reconstructible, but a written record is not. The second step is to identify your emotional baseline. Gaslighting disorients by making you feel perpetually off balance, so anchoring yourself to a consistent emotional reference point through journaling, therapy, or trusted outside perspective gives you a stable ground that manipulation cannot easily erode. The third step, and perhaps the most powerful, is learning to treat confusion itself as information. In healthy relationships, disagreements may be uncomfortable, but they do not leave you feeling fundamentally broken or questioning your own sanity. When a conversation consistently ends with you feeling more lost than when it began, that pattern is not accidental. It is a signal worth taking seriously. The fourth step is to rebuild your external support system deliberately and carefully, choosing people who know you across multiple contexts and who have no reason to hold a filtered version of your story. And the fifth, the one that ties everything together, is this: trust the body before the argument. Long before the mind catches up, the nervous system registers threat. That tightness in your chest, that subtle dread before a certain conversation, that exhaustion that has no logical source. These are not weaknesses. They are intelligence. Advanced gaslighting survives on your self-doubt. It feeds on the gap between what you feel and what you allow yourself to believe. Close that gap. Reclaim your narrative. Because the most revolutionary act you can perform against psychological manipulation is to simply, courageously, trust yourself again. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.